Dade patch, we'll see how much work he gets done today.
Yeah, let's indulge that kind of meme that Dade is a patch Zerg. It's a good patch for him. Ryze is back in the meta, already seen some success this week. Azir, it looks like a must ban against Dade based on his recent performances. The win rate's not necessarily there, but he does crazy initiation plays with that Emperor's Divide.
Yeah, no one wants to give Dade big playmaking champions, but we are into the draft here. Vici will start game 1 off on the blue side, M3 on the red. Sejuani Z banned away there, so already targeting Dade there with a ban in the mid lane. And Rek'Sai and Twisted Fate, now a must ban against Setong.
I think global champions in general, of course, Rek'Sai effectively a global champion, especially if you're winning and get that neural network, the tunnel's really in the advantage. And Twisted Fate, I feel like that really opens up Vici to play so aggressive. They already love to overextend for farm. The likes of Vasily, known for years as very aggressive laners. Anything that allows them to react faster than the enemy, Twisted Fate Destiny, the tunnel network coming through from Rek'Sai, gives too much of a strategic advantage to Vici. So these are some really savvy bans coming through from the first two for M3.
And that's what M3 need here if they do want to take the game, or the series at least, or at least one game, and push themselves just over the line into playoffs. Janna, the last ban there for Vici, looking good so far. Again, targeting some of that away. Does take it away from Mata, but Mata certainly can play plenty of supports, and we've seen a big shift back towards Nautilus and the like. Cho get the last ban here. I do like it. Hetong being picked on a little bit, but that will open up everybody's favorite Kalista.
But do you pick Kalista when Urgot is available? SMLZ already a noted Urgot player. They lock it in anyway, and you have to think Urgot's going to come through here for M3.
Yeah, looks like it is M3. Going to go through a couple more champions. Lupa will flash Ryze just for a second. Kind of funny that we talk about Ryze being back. Lupa also noted on that champion, so potentially a flex pick there for M3 if they do want to start playing more of it. We've already seen the power of Annie today, though, and I don't think M3 can pass it up.
I mean, Annie has been right back in the meta. Started off the season strong. It's hilarious to me that what was the go-to duo lane in week 1 is once again risen up. It was all about Sivir Annie, and once again, Sivir Annie is so popular. It looks like the Annie at least will be locked in.
Wow,
for M3
Condi
as well, though, Pastry Time. That is a flex pick Annie. We've seen multiple, not just one. We can't just write it off.
That's true.
2 different games in different weeks of Annie top. Okay, it was seen as a pseudo counter pick to Nah. I kind of question that given that it didn't win, but it is a flex pick for Lupa.
Yeah, technically, yes, Lupa has played it in the top lane in this split of the LPL, but Annie leads in the picks there for M3, and that screams aggression.
I mean, Condi, this is his champion that he came into the team on. This is definitely his most comfort pick, and comfort might be the way to go forward in game 1 at least. They've already got the Annie Lee Sin. They have a lot of pick power coming through in their first 2 picks. Nah already being considered.
Wait, what? Yeah, that's a Nah going picked up, but Fizz will get picked up as well by Vici.
That's going to be a Fizz jungle, is my guess that's going to come through. That's the most likely place that it's going to be going to. Of course, it could still be Fizz top. We see Teleport, Ignite being the summoner spells. That does scream Fizz. That does scream Fizz if you ask me.
So where does the Nah go?
That is a good question.
That was my question. It's just like, yeah, Fizz top seems fine, especially for a player like Carry. I believe does have a play on it already as SMLZ insta-locking in the Urgot.
I mean, the Urgot is no surprise. I kind of expected almost just a secondary AD carry pick. Pick the Urgot to go with the Kalista, just because the lane matchup can be very tenuous. We have seen Kalista players win out in that matchup, but just on paper and over a large sample size, you have to hand it to Urgot. And Dade has had Ryze bans consistently this week, able to snap it off in the 4th round of pits very happily.
Yeah, Azir is open though, but chooses to take Ryze here, interestingly. So that's also blind, potentially, given that Fizz might not be in the mid lane and Nah's probably not landing. I mean, Vici are mixing it up quite a bit here with their 2nd and 3rd picks, but we'll give them a chance to see what they want to go in for their 4th and 5th here. We'll just give them a bit of time. Vici might be up to something here.
Okay, the Jace is a little bit on the nose coming through from Mata. Definitely probably not allowed to play that champion too much anymore. But they're considering their options in this case. Looks like the breaking of the meta is being considered with some of the picks. Blitzcrank's locked in.
Yes, Blitzcrank is locked in for Mata. A little bit of a smile there. And Orianna going to be that last pick. So I think your initial intuition was right, Papa Smithy. That is going to be Jungle Fizz.
Jungle Fizz. It's just a feast or farm champion. It's all about getting an early game snowball. Ryze is definitely a tenuous laner, so looking to maybe gank the mid lane in particular. Waiting to see if we see a top laner or a support picked up here for M3. Because you remember, this is actually the lane matchup that Annie was chosen into. Lupa likes this Annie versus Nah matchup.
He does. I mean, he's at least picked it twice willingly in some LPL games. As we said, did not work out for him there, but that is interesting. Actually, that's really cool. I talked about it being a flex pick. I mentioned Azir was open. Thought Dade might be showing a little too much by picking Ryze so early, but it's actually Lupa's Ryze, and Dade is going to last pick Azir.
Okay, while I like that intuition there. It's a good pickup, Patient. I don't like it in this particular situation because the one criticism of Ryze, especially in the top lane, very easy to turret dive, and you've already got a Fizz jungle locked in. Fizz is so good at dropping the aggro from turret with the use of the playful Trickster. Now he's going to happily bully him in lane as a resourceless champion against a champion like Ryze, who needs to really use his mana judiciously between trading and last hitting. Lupa is definitely opted into a very difficult jungle top lane matchup.
And you know what? That's not too surprising for me from Lupa. He's done this from time to time. If he does navigate the matchup, he'll get a big payoff at the end of the game. But that's where we'll start here. Nar versus Ryze on the top side. And Lupa, he wants to go big carry this game.
Okay, but it is a very obvious potential lane for Fizz to be camping, is that top lane where Ryze has very low base stats. We'll scale up into the late game. Orianna versus Azir, definitely going to be wave clear essentially.
Yeah, something we thought we'd see a bit more of, but haven't maybe seen as much of as Kalista Urgot down in the bottom side. Maybe a swap there for Vici is not a favorable matchup there, especially as the levels mount up. And Marta can have a bit of fun today versus the Blitzcrank versus the Annie.
You look at the hook targets. Ryze in the late game, certainly not a hook target. You're probably going to want to get onto Azir, but he'll be able to push you away with the Emperor's Divide. And Urgot, most of the time, he's opting into being swapped into the middle of a team fight anyway. So not really screaming out as a Blitzcrank comp, at least, coming through for Vici. Whereas M3, they have a lot of comfort, but the early laning phase in particular could go horribly wrong.
Well, I have to say, Macho's definitely earned his Blitzcrank game, so I'll give it to him at least. He's played fantastically all season, so he'll take it if he wants to have maybe a bit of fun in their last game.
So far kept his craziness towards the Demacia Cup, not so much the LPL. So, you know, everyone gets a bit of a brain fade once in a while.
Well, we'll see how Macho and the Blitzcrank does. We're about to get straight onto the Rift. And just becoming, guys, we do have a pause, unfortunately, to start the game. You can see Dandy very focused on his Jungle Fizz.
Yeah, the Jungle Fizz will be super interesting, just given the texture of this M3 comp that's put up. There is all these tenuous matchups. Probably not going to be ganking for Orianna early, not too much kill pressure in the mid lane onto Azir, but the top lane in particular we've mentioned. What about the lane swap? The lane swap is another question. Ryze definitely not as good in the lane swap as Nar, and of course will then still be very turret diveable with the support AD carry duo. We're watching the crowd. They seem pretty hyped about
I got confused,
Master3.
by the way. It's Dade on the left. I thought it was Lupa. I was mistaken. There we go. Today I learned.
Today you learned. You are very on top of the banners.
Why is Lupa the sleepy one? That's definitely Dade.
I mean, he picks Annie top. That's a bit sleepy if you ask me.
Well, he's picked Ryze top this game. It might be in the same sort of territory here. But, I mean, a confident pick here from M3. It's comfort, I think, definitely for the star solo landers here. Even SMLZ on a comfort champion like Urgot. In fact, all of M3 kind of looking through the lineup, it just screams, you know, game one, we need a win. Let's just play what we know and see what we can get done.
And it's a deceptively high damage comp. You see Urgot and you're like, okay, late game's going to be a bit of a wash. But Ryze and Azir, there's so much consistent damage in the late game. The spells, the spell machine gun coming through in Ryze, and of course the auto attacks doing magic damage on those sand soldiers coming through from Dade. So the late game looks just fine, and so much initiation and pick. We already saw ADG completely wreck OMG with the pick power of Annie, and we're talking now about Ryze with the instant cast snare. Instant cast stun into instant cast snare between Ryze and Annie. Definitely legacy champions with those instant casts. Not a lot of counterplay between those two. Azir, of course, can do some crazy things. The bouncy castle, always my personal favorite. If you get that Emperor's Divide next to a wall, and Urgot, less said about him, the better. The suppression initiation is powerful.
Yeah, pretty curious on the mid lane matchup, actually. We've seen Dade's Azir, what it can get done. 5.6, definitely seen a resurgence for that particular champion, but we were kind of thinking that with the changes to Athene's being a little bit cheaper, Chalice now more accessible, you know, more sustained damage mid lane is kind of coming into the meta. Orianna was almost expected to make some sort of resurgence. We haven't seen this matchup yet, I don't think.
And we were definitely expecting more Orianna than just Godfrey, who was picking up last week and then this week. Rookie played it earlier today, but it's only been those two to bring out the Orianna, despite the fact that Athene's is such a massive indirect buff to Orianna with the shielding, with the dissonance giving movement speed. Basically 100% of kills in teamfights she's getting assists for. So the 30% extra max mana means she can just put out those spells on cooldowns. It's such a big indirect buff. So of course to Azir as well, who's received a couple of patches of love directly in the patch notes, and also again the indirect buff for Athene. So the control mage is probably just going to be a farm off in the mid lane we'd expect. but Dade definitely has the offensive options. I'm actually surprised to see Hetong not take another bit out of the God V playbook and go for the double mobility summoners even on Orianna. You might think, okay, but why the Ghost? But in general, Orianna's only problem is if she's caught out. So if somehow Dade gets behind her and Emperor's Divider into the middle of a fight, if Urgot gets the swap, there's so many pick initiations, instant cast CC that we already decided, that ghosting around the back of a fight, the Dade special, he's been using that ever since he brought Ziggs and Twisted Fate back into the meta a few years ago, could be super value. And the Ignite, I don't know how often you're going to be in Ignite range as Orianna.
I mean, it's nice that she can at least add extra damage when Dandy comes to gank the lane. So they'll have additional kill pressure there potentially. But I do like the Ghost as well. Orianna just in general gated by positioning. You need to get your ball around the right spots. You need to be standing out of the damage while you navigate your ball around. And Ghost lets you do that so much easier.
And she's unique in that she needs to both position herself defensively and position the ball offensively. Always one of the most interesting champions to cast just because the ball adds another layer. Whenever it's put down, you have to respect the range, to wait for the shockwave. She's got a lot going on. The Ignite Summoner spell, I guess I can see in terms of a snowball. If they're just smashing Azir in lane between the Fizz and Orianna pressure, it might be valuable, but Azir's just so slippery to begin with, and Orianna doesn't provide much in terms of initiation or damage. Pre-6 and then even level 9, getting 5 points in one of your abilities. Now you have to expect Lupa's going to get all the attention this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Rise. He's picked that matchup for himself. Only got the flash to get away. Teleport, of course, your standard summoners for your top laner. Lupa could definitely be in a bit of trouble to see Dade laser focused. I told you he always looks sleepy, but that's not necessarily sleeping. He's just collecting his energy, saving himself, and really thinking about what the game that's ahead of him.
I mean, playoffs are here. Dade definitely wants to return to his clutch ways, really carrying Samsung Blue, with depth, of course, to great heights in 2014. What had previously been a very inconsistent lineup known to make quarterfinals and then just fall out of the league. Had such a run of form in 2014. You're next to Samsung White. The most successful team in 2014 was Samsung Blue, and hoping to make similar strides with Master3. Of course, people really mentioned that Dade had never played more than 14 games in a whole season previous to this year, and then, of course, is closing in on his 43rd and 44th games, respectively. It's a much different structure in the LPL this season with the 12 teams and the best of 2. It's been up and down, mostly down, you have to say, but this is the time to shine.
Yeah, and Lupa there as well, collecting himself, making sure he can get back into form. Certainly had some moments of brilliance. I think in the middle of the season especially, looked almost back to his old World Championship ways. But been a while since then. Lupa's still kind of playing himself back into the meta. I feel like it's funny. Both these players kind of want champions that suit them, and 5.6 maybe M3's time.
I remain to be convinced on the Ryze top especially. I can kind of see Ryze mid, especially against the likes of Orianna. Not an ideal matchup for Ryze, but there's not many ideal matchups for Ryze in general. He just wants to navigate that laning phase in general. So in this case, going to be in the top lane, going to be an obvious gank target. Not as good in a 1v2 compared to his other laner. There's a lot of different things that need to happen at level 1. Master3 want to try and navigate into a 1v1 lane where possible. Still not fantastic for Ryze, but better than the alternative.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's an odd matchup for Lupa to pick. I loved it in the draft. It was clever, but maybe too clever, unfortunately, given that what it means is if they do want to last pick the Azir, they end up with the Ryze in an unfavorable matchup. I mean, as you said, not very many good matchups. I think they tried to trick Vici a little bit, but not really tricking them very much there with Ryze.
And it'll be interesting to see how they position in team fights as well. Usually Lupa, when you get big enough on Ryze, you become an effective frontliner, just doing massive AoE burst damage with the ultimate popped and just getting into the front of the fight. Whereas Urgot's going to have interesting positioning. Usually Azir's fighting around a hyper carry, but might just be in dive mode this game, so won't necessarily be able to set up an offensive locus of control with the soldiers if he's fighting in the depths, but we're going to find out very soon.
Yeah, we are finally on to the Rift after our quick pause, and Vici versus M3, our last best of 2 for the first regular LPL split for 2015. It's been a long journey, Papa Smithy.
And I've enjoyed the best of 2 format, but no more of that. Best of 5s are plenty coming very, very soon. But the league format, it's supposed to really separate the teams and show us who the top 8 teams are. And we're going to find out through this series. Is it going to be Masters3? Is it going to be World Elite? 1 victory out of the 2 games, and Master3 are through.
Yeah, finally down to the wire here. Very clutch play expected from Master3. If they do want to push themselves over, it was going to be unlikely for either World Elite or Master3 to make it, but they're the last 2 teams left in playoff contention. Vici now just fanning out, going to defend their entrances, not get too aggressive here. And with that, all the neutral vision hanging around the river, probably not going to see a lane swap. But as I said, that Vasili's already in the top brush.
Yeah, Vasili hasn't got the memo. He's already up top. They don't have any aggressive lane wards, so there's going to be a bit of prediction play going on here. And so far, Master3 have definitely called their bluff.
Yep, good guess there, moving up to the top side. I mean, how much do you like to just go to the top lane, Papa?
I feel like it works out more often than not. It's one of those situations where the enemy doesn't have any assured knowledge, so they have to make a guess. You're going to be right, you're going to be wrong. In this case, they do predict right. They're going to probably walk. Let's see if they stay at the turret. It'd be very intelligent to stay at the turret, because as present, they haven't shown their hand whatsoever.
No, they've got everyone hidden, even Lee Sin following out. They will get in now, and Mata going to look for a grab, finds one up to Love City. Vasili going to come in there.
That's
as
a lot
SMLZ
of level 1 damage on Vasili,
comes
but
through.
not enough autos.
Yeah, I mean, the Ren's damage, but just not enough attack speed yet.
Crazy though, it's already at half health. Of course, it being the support has more potions than Urgot, so that's definitely the target you want to take that level 1 burst of damage, and we'll just have to see if the level 2 advantage can be confirmed by Vici.
This lane's fairly interesting, actually. I wasn't thinking too much about Blitzcrank versus Annie. Obviously, Annie at level 6, not the best person to grab in because she'll just tibbers you. She's kind of short range, so getting her in melee range is not that good. But we also used to see this in Annie versus Leona classically back in the day, where Annie can just take Q level 1 and start queuing the melee support.
And look, Love City already shown that he's skilled. His Q is Incinerate, so before he is able to just hold the W and have that as for a possible disengage stun if he's hooked, absolutely. At level 1, perfect target to hook is Annie.
Yeah, and so some good damage there as we'll continue our 2v2. As always, oh, great hook by Mata. Love City going to throw out another Q, but takes a bit of damage again.
And this is the downfall of Urgot. We've mentioned it multiple times now that we see more and more Urgot in the 2v2 role. But level 1, level 2 has very low lane control. Isn't really able to trade before he gets both his E and his Q. And then, you know, certain points in Q. The Acid Hunter, of course, is usually about the base damage. So does struggle if he's pushed in. Has to use his mana to last hit under turret. Means he doesn't have that trade mana for when he gets the lock on.
And I have to say, as we've learnt more and more about Kalista specifically, I think she has excellent wave control in the early levels. Between Soul Mark minions with your W and just the power of Rend in general, Kalista has no issues in the early levels.
But she's such an amusing champion, actually, just to think about, because you can skill, and we see in every different Kalista game, Q, E, and W all being skilled at level 1 for different reasons. If you're going to take the Gromp, you want to get access to the Soul Mark at level 1, so you have that at level 1. You can throw the Sentinels out for a bit of vision, just to make it even safer to pick up that early camp, as the trade damage onto Hatong is quite massive. We've seen Pierce level 1 just for a bit more wave pushing. And then the Rend as well for the auto attacks and the level 1 trades. So very flexible start, and maybe another reason why she's so prized as an AD carry.
Yeah, very popular, especially in the LPL. First picked or banned a surprisingly high amount of time. I think in this weekend's game it would be close to 100% for first pick or burn, or at least banned or first picked in this particular game is Dandy, fishing around there in the jungle, now level 3 with double buffs.
It's been a long time since the meta revolved around must-pick, must-ban AD carries. It feels like Sivir was approaching that strength in a couple of the first weeks of the LPL, but no champions really in the history, barring a few years ago. Just because, again, all AD carries usually have different strengths. I feel it's just that Kalista has so much upside, especially in the first 25, 30 minutes in the game. She allows you to snowball objectives, which are now more and more important in the new meta with the stacking dragon system, that having access to so much potential in the early game becomes a prize stat.
Yeah, and just has such a high skill ceiling as well. I mean, Vasili's a fine Kalista player, but you watch someone like Uzi playing, you just realize I can never do those things.
I try to watch Uzi play, but doesn't get her very often. Frequently banned against OMG in particular. Def trying to do his best Uzi impression. Hasn't quite reached the heights of Uzi's Kalista, but as the last series showed, he has his own strength carries as well.
He does indeed. As though we pop down to the bottom lane just briefly, CSC actually going nicely for Lupus, so what could have been an awkward lane. Dandy, at least for now, not applying any pressure, just farming actually with the Trailblazer. Lupa keeping up very competently there in the lane.
He's been very good at using his mana as well. You can see he has about 75% mana, as you can see on the portrait on the right. So definitely has managed to harass with CSing. Has a good auto attack. It's actually quite easy to last hit, even though it's fairly low AD values. And he's obviously an experienced Rise player. We already knew that coming into the series, and it's showing off in the early games.
Yeah, Lupa just loves to build catalysts here. Between Synergy and Rise has a lot of experience with the item, and the tier's already done. Might use the teleport early as well. Even a Ruby Crystal for a bit of extra safety. This Rise off to a very good start.
Okay, but he's going to walk down to lane. Of course, the freeze has come down under the turret for carry, so we'll have to overextend to potentially push in the lane, but Fizz is topside, so no one there to punish him.
Yeah, and again, Dandy just been doing some farming. Might finally look for a gank here in the top top lane, but instead just a Scuttle Crab now as Marta going to line up a hook. Does land onto Love City. Damage now coming through. Good double stun in the exhaust. Down there as well. Knock onto SMLZ, but Vasily getting chased down. Dandy is here. That'll force the flash. Teleport coming though from Looper. SMLZ taking a lot of damage. Dandy trying to get the dive. Does secure first blood, and Looper tries to go in, but Vasily lives on a sliver of health. Now comes Carry. Mega now form. Flash while there. Dandy going to rustle back in. Hook there on Tomato, lands after the flash. Love City forced to flash away as well. And beautiful play from Vici. Almost gets some 3 kills.
2-0 start for Vici is really bad for M3. See Connie trying to solo down Dragon. He should be able to get it. But 2 early kills with the teleports committed to. Looper got the first teleport in earlier.
That dive from Carry. Just auto attack hop.
Man, sometimes you get everything. You get the cake, you get the cherry on top with the 3rd kill. Okay, you trade it for the dragon, but it's just the first dragon. And finally, Hetong tries to stand up to die.
Oh, flash ult there. Now Condi getting aggressed on Q. Will follow the Hetong. Already used the shockwave. Good ward hop there from Lee Sin as well. Just needs one more Q. Hetong can't quite juke it, but no, but Marta blocks it. Condi follows in, but Marta was there.
Master3 just never pick up the kills. The CC does register. There's the hook.
Good Q there onto Dade. Now going to EQ out of the way, but Blitzcrank gets the double kill. No ignite there from Marta, just some casual Blitzcrank
but
damage.
A delayed ace at 7 minutes. Everyone with a single death on the Master3 side just when blue buff is about to spawn again. Man, things went real bad there for Master3.
Yeah, and there's Dandy. Just double-checked. He does have the aura around him. That is Cinderhulk Jungle Fizz, not Magus.
Cinderhulk with the very fast, accelerated Cinderhulk being completed. It's got to be a pretty tilting experience for 2 different members to get their opponents down to, what, a sliver of health, 20, 30 health? And Master3 had the most important best of 2 in their short career during the course of this best of 2. So they need to shake off what's happened. Excellently Sin mechanics coming through from Connie, but again, just not quite the damage.
Yeah, Marta's timing was impeccable, and they even swapped their bottom lane back down. And look at Dandy. Level 6, ulti ready to go. He's actually looking for a kill, and he's going to find Condi here. That's a 2-level disadvantage. Dandy, your jungle Condi, I'm sorry, it no longer belongs to you.
Yeah, I mean, Dandy has complete alpha advantage in this situation. The Wolf Scout, the Wolf Spirit gonna spot him, but he's not really too concerned about anything.
Oh, Marta lining up a hook as well. Might be able to get Dade, and there's a player that you want to try and keep behind it is Dade.
I mean, Dade always receives so much roaming attention. We remember Cloud on the Thresh coming into mid and ruining Dade's day on Victor. Victor not available this week, still disabled on patch 4.6, and here comes the dive.
Yeah, Marta moving in for the dive. Good EQ there from Dade. Great hook though from Marta. Insta-fish from Dandy, and to make it look easy, a kill for the Fizz.
And we talked about earning your Blitzcrank game. A couple of Blitzcranks have definitely been pretenders to the throne of Marta, who has been way on top of things this game.
Not surprising, a fantastic Thresh player. Greater than all the when we've seen him. Of course, good on John. That's what everyone remembers him for. But Blitzcrank just looks good again. And Marta, what can't you play?
It finally gets to move to the engage now that the pesky Janna is banned away and showing plenty of prowess on this champ.
I mean, maybe that was wise. Just like, you know what? I want to play Blitzcrank. Ban away the Janna.
I mean, just play it in solo queue. People don't really take it too seriously. Of course, Faker famous for playing a lot of Blitzcrank's games on his Hide on Bush account. And in this situation, I mean, those mechanics definitely working out.
I mean, Blitzcrank's such a unique champion. If you can play him at a high level, Mad Life used to show us this all the time. A worthwhile champion to play is Love CD. Going to find him. Does have a stun ready to go, but nobody wants to get hooked again by Marta. And so patient, even using the Scuttle Crab.
Doesn't have an 80 carry near him, so definitely going to get no use of that soul. Mark's passive is Vasily left to his own devices, and Marta's going for a merry walk.
Yeah, he's been roaming actually pretty much full time now that the Rico bow from Vasily has been completed. He's just left on his own. He's basically in a 1v0 lane right now with Looper.
And he's decided to not go for any of those silly support items, going for the tier. We've already seen Mana Moon Blitzcrank once today, but definitely a different texture to this game as they're 6-0 ahead.
Yeah, Moby Boots, great for the early roaming, and I like the tier. It's a bit of a snowball item, but just even some additional tankiness through the mana barrier passive is good.
Let's be real, he could have got a snowball sightstone, but he knew what he wanted.
No, Marta wants to get a bit more aggressive on the build this time around. Maybe even see a Mana Mune coming through. And Marta actually getting some blast hits now. Vasily almost got the turret in the bottom side. Will send a Sentinel up the lane as well just to watch for it and buying some time. But that tower, it's dead.
And with all that rotational play, oh, Mata.
Condi kicks him back there as well. Q looking to land good E there to cripple, plus the exhaust coming down. SMOZ also here, but Condi gets grabbed up. Mata gets a kill in a 2v3, and now Carry gonna chase in on the almost making a good swap there from SMLZ. The minions too much there. Dandy gets rise on the bottom side, but SMLZ lives.
The minions did so much work. With the Goping, they want to go back in and get SMLZ.
Look at Mata. He's waiting for his Orianna to come up, taunting them here on the blitz. Flashing in there, gets another kill. Bear goes down, but Mata too strong. Shockwave will secure it. Last auto, though, does give Love CD the double buff.
Yeah, they didn't manage to get the double buff transfer through there. In this case, it's transferred to Love CD. Couldn't get it onto her tongue, but Mata with the smooth moves finally pays off, but the bounty goes to the support.
Yeah, and Dade trying to push in the mid lane, does arise on a turret, but not quite enough damage. Just Carries teleported into the mid lane. This insane amount of pressure onto the Azir, who's got all his summoners and his ulti up, but the hyper damage more than enough to win trades.
But that was a mini Nah teleport in. There was no kill pressure whatsoever, but there might be now.
I don't know if you should tell Carry that. He's going in. Dade, beautiful ultimate. Hetong joining back in. The ball rides in. The auto's good, and Hetong will claim the killers. Love City back down again, but Carry threatening with the Mega Nah. Scoops him back in. Dandy over the top. Double kill for Hetong. Condi kicks them out, but Dandy gonna follow. Condi just hops away in time, and Vici Gaming have taken over.
What the hell is in the water for Vici Gaming? 11 minutes in, 11 kills. It's been a bloodbath on the Rift and Master3. They're going to be wondering what has happened in the first 10 minutes.
I don't think Vici were very happy losing a couple games this week, and they haven't lost very many in recent memory, but apparently don't want to lose any more.
But you can understand their theory. Play a fast game around the likes of Ryze. Ensure he never gets to scale up. Meanwhile, Lupa was obviously not watching his screen and got killed by the Cinder Hulk Dandy.
Yeah, I mean, still does good damage, does this Fizz. That ultimate at this stage of the game just does so much work, and another fish lands onto Dade. He's trying to get away, but he's being dove by Vasily and Hetong, and Dandy gonna get another.
But how do you approach a game like this if you're Master? That you need a victory, but this is not looking like
Bates
one.
call was sick. Condi in trouble. Doesn't get away from Vasily, who pierces him to death. Dandy now still diving in, thinking about inhibitor turrets, as Vasily gonna get some damage under this turret. Hetong moving the ball around wonderfully, and SMLZ gets hooked by Mata. Amazing play. Somehow sees him, predicts him after he goes through a ward.
Pastry time. Vici are playing this game like it's an exhibition match, but no one told Master3 they're the team with the whole thing on the line. And against the likes of Blitzcrank, now 3-1-6. Hurricane already completed. Look at Mata. He's elated because his team are dismantling Master3.
That's one hell of a smirk on his face, and I would look that way too if I was playing this well. His Blitzcrank looking great, and Condi, I'm sorry, my friend. You're probably not long for this world, as Dandy going to track him. Mata wants a juicy target. It's Love CD. Another blind hook.
Hook City population Master3 has been the story of this game.
Condi. Vasily goes in. Easy rend.
I mean, he's dancing this, hooking. Everything's happening on the Rift for Vici. 16 kills in 13 minutes. This was supposed to be the LGD-IG game, not this particular game where everything's on the line.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because that game, of course, there were different things on the line potentially, but Vici have secured their spot. They don't need to play this well, but you know what? It is momentum moving into playoff. Why not look intimidating? Because any team looking at Vici playing like this, maybe you start thinking, do I have to ban Blitzcrank? I really don't want to.
And you recall that EDG versus Vici series that happened on Friday. It was a 2-0 to EDG, but Vici pushed them and looked like they would get at least a single victory before Clear Love went completely God mode on Sejuani, you'll remember. In this present situation, they're just styling on Master3, who are looking at playoffs and it's suddenly looking like it's further away, at least in Game 1. And Vici playing themselves back into form at the best possible time.
10,000 gold ahead for Vici, already at 14.5 minutes. And you know what? Looking at some impressive scores, 6-0-6 standing out there for Dandy, but for my money, it's been Mata that's looked the best so far. Now he finally gets us sights to it.
It's just been insane. This is such an insane performance. You can't even really dissect it as a color caster. You can understand them playing the game quick just because, again, you don't want to wait till Ryze gets big. Of course, his early stats have been hit, but still, it's the same late game force. The scaling is there for Azir and Ryze. Urgot definitely stronger to the mid game. But, I mean, all those factors mean nothing when you're talking about a 10,000 gold lead at 15 minutes.
Oh, they were trying to do it. I was wondering what the fade score was for, but they were trying for the very stylish fadeaway hook.
They couldn't do an Aframu double lift in that particular situation. That's the first style they've failed on this game. Because, as I said, 10,000 gold lead at 15 minutes, and it's just crazy.
I mean, watch for that cooldown on Vasily's ultimate. I can bet you they're going to be trying it again here. Mata still looking, getting aggressive wards down. Tries another hook. That one not so much word knowledge, a bit ambitious there. And if you just look down at the player cams, Dade especially right now does not look happy. And Vici, they're smiling and laughing.
I mean, look, they were tilted by not picking up those early kills. How different a game would this have been if there were trade kills in the first few minutes? But instead, no. Vasily survived on a sliver of health. Similar story with Marta, I believe, early in the game as well. Both Condi and Dade missing out on kills as the shooting range continues.
I mean, Marta at this point is just walking up, being like, you're probably in this patch of area and throwing out a hook, hoping it hits.
But just look at the levels, the items, everything is just disgusting coming
Marta's
through.
here again, looks for Looper, does get knocked up. The fish lands again for Dandy, and that's a 7th kill for Cinder Hulk Fizz as Vasily down the bottom against SMLZ fighting the Urgot. Very tricky there. The swap will happen. Vasily going to get way too low, will go down. That was too aggressive, and a shutdown there for Urgot is a massive ult from Carry over the wall onto Dade, gives Oriana a kill.
A solo kill from Urgot on Kalista. That's what we would have expected maybe earlier in the game, but everything that's happened since that point, the 17 kills that preceded it coming through from Vici, means it's all for naught in this particular situation. Kalista versus Urgot, great matchup for Urgot, but doesn't mean anything.
I mean, it's one of those things where you have to get to the point where it's good for you. It's not good in the early levels, 1 to 2 especially. Not great once you get the items going, get the levels going especially. It looks fine, but unfortunately for SMLZ, this was not a balanced game.
But look at the gold distribution as well. The 2 of the 3 kills for Master3 is on the support Annie. Urgot just got a solo kill. Meanwhile, the Snowball jungler in Fizz is 7-0-7. That is... I mean, look, there's snowballing and there's this game. We'll call this the dandy the next time someone snowballs in the early game on a jungler. That's how far ahead he is. 4-0-7 Wayless. Basically has whatever items he wants. And then everyone else has some kill participation as well. The only person who's been largely unseen is Carry on his 10-2, I believe, coming into this game.
Yeah, just casually 1-1-7, pulling up the rear as far as scores go here on the teams. And Vasily Marty, I think they're trying to line it up again.
And where are the safe spots for Master3 on this map? Because they're getting hooked over every fat wall on this game. Another structure's going to go down. That's going to be the 6th. And Marta wants another hook.
He really does. Vasily in range for the Fates Call as well, but they'll take the Sun Turret down instead. I mean, M3 at this point aren't happy to leave their base. SMLZ somehow push minions out to the bottom. Are you serious, Dandy? That fish landed as well. Oh, they get the hook onto Dade. Ulti will miss. He'll get denied as well, and Dandy gets another kill. 2-man shockwave going to come in there as well. Vasily gets low, but will not go down. And Vici, you said it before, Puppet, they are styling.
Yeah, they got the highlight reel clip just there. Dandy's doing a little bit of fancy footwork. Shows that you can indeed playful and trickster over the inhibitor.
I might have to redact something here as Marta somehow misses his 2nd hook of the game. I did at one point say Dandy's mechanics did not impress me compared to, say, Kakao Insect, but this game, Dandy has just proved me wrong.
I think he's more of a Fizz than an Italy.
Yeah, I think so too, but his Fizz looking great right now as a kill goes down there for now. He gets the turret as well for the different double, and now Marta lining up the hook. Will go in for it. Almost gets Looper, I think he was coming in. Love CD going to ride in on the Yanni, but Carry just nars him into the inhibitor mid-air, dunks him right into the building. Dandy diving in as well, but gets exhausted as a result. Ball on top of him will finally give the kill over to SMLZ. Vici go a little too far and they'll miss the inhibitor, but maybe not.
And M3 are wondering if they're dreaming. If this was a scrim, it would have been surrendered at 5 minutes, but the inhibitor goes down. And suddenly playoffs are looking a very long way away. And how often, Pastry Time, would we say that a team with Ryze and Azir should probably surrender at 20 minutes? We have no hope of getting to the late game.
Well, we'll have to see how it goes because it's not looking good right now. There's a Sword of the Occult sitting on SMLZ. That is, I mean, you know what? He's on M3, so it makes some sense.
He's with Dade.
That is do or die if I've ever seen it.
We asked for the real Dade to stand up. Not in game 1.
Oh, Fate's Call gets him out. He had the ball on him as well. That was adorable.
I mean, the waves aren't being controlled at any semblance of the word. About 6 minion waves pushing for Master3 in the top lane. Na's going to go pick that up, so he's having happy days. Won't have teleport to visit, but this game, honestly, should be over in 20 seconds.
It looks to be over at this point. We'll have to see, though, M3, if they can hold on somehow through what's been a train wreck. Oh, yeah, he's not doing too bad. Stinger, Trinity Force, and your Cinder Hulk completed it under 20 minutes.
You know, Cinder Hulk into Trinity Force, the standard jungle item choice. Now going for the Mana Stinger. We always talk about the Mana Stinger. Maybe the Zephyr could be worked in there.
Yeah, we could see. I mean, it's not a bad item here on Fizz CDI helping out a bit. Hetong in a bush, though, does get discovered by Urgot. Marta's here as well by Hetong. That's a little too much. Another kill to SMLZ, who seems to be picking up most of the skills, but Dandy's here as well. Fish duel land, the swap does come through, but Dade in trouble. Pushes one out, but Vasily will just get the kill instead, and Dandy not done. Maybe should be, gets bound. Damage comes through, and there's Looper with a shutdown. So M3 getting some kills and getting some gold, but still so far behind.
Yeah, some kill bounties come through. Maybe that will abate the surrender ideas for now.
I got the bear.
Well, I mean, they pulled the bear along.
That's worth 50 gold. Vasily picks it up and says, thanks for the change. I mean, they're going for the combo. They clearly practiced.
I mean, honestly, the bounty onto Dade will be pretty similar to the 50 gold.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, it's a rough game for M3 as another hook lands onto left. See, I was going to stop saying that land as Carrick does get in the stun, and M3 giving it up. I can't fault them for surrendering after that game. And look at Mata. So happy.
And there were questions about whether Vici might be looking to play for seeding. If they had lost 2-0 in this series, they would have avoided EDG's side of the bracket. But if you're going to play like that against a fellow playoff contender in Master 3, bring on EDG, because they're showing that they can hang with the best of teams because they completely obliterated Master 3.
Papa, if Mata's face from the end of the game tells me anything, and Vici are only playing for fun, and that for them, that was fun.
Was fun. It was fun for us as well. The shenanigans coming through with Kalista Blitzcrank. Didn't even consider that interaction because we haven't seen a lot of it in the LPL. Blitzcrank's been popular for some of these seedings teams this week, but definitely pulled off by Mata.
And Mata, one hell of a Blitzcrank game, and Vici in general going absolutely massive. M3 playoff hopes now dangled in front of them. They need to claim a game. We'll see if they can do it after this quick break.